you. Welcome into Morning Drive on YouTube. The 2018 Arnold Palmer Invitational champion, Rory McIlroy, looks to return to that winner's circle once again at Bay Hill Club and Lodge. And with a victory this week, Rory would become the first world #1 to win this event since Tiger Woods did it back in 2009. Now, Rory has finished in the top 10 in each of his last 3 starts at this tournament. His game spoke volumes on Thursday, but so did the top-ranked player, making a big statement after his round when asked about his motivation to speak out on the proposed Premier Golf League.
I'd like to think I'm quite a loyal person, and I think the PGA Tour has given me a platform to showcase my skills, to build my brand, to turn me into this golfer and athlete that I am. And I think Jay Monahan and his team do a wonderful job at the tour. And look, the reason I said what I said is because we were in Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and some people decided not to go. But that was their choice. That was the freedom that they had. They have autonomy over their schedule, and they can pick and choose when and where they want to play. Where if we go to this new league, that's not going to be the case. You're going to be contracted to play 18 events. They're going to tell you where and when you should be there. And as a golfer and an independent contractor, I didn't like the sound of that. Didn't really like where the money was coming from either. And I wanted to be the first one to speak out against it. And I'm glad that I have. I'm glad that I've done that.
Rory never shy to share his thoughts, Brendan, and he seems pretty adamant about where he stands on this. So what do you make of him doubling down on his views?
I think it is a doubling down. I think it's taking it a step further than what we heard in Mexico. I think specifically with the reference to I don't like where the money is coming from, which is most likely an allusion to the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, which is confirmed to have a stake in this Premier Golf League proposal. The other parts of the proposal, as far as we understand it, are malleable. Maybe Rory doesn't have to, someone of Rory's caliber doesn't have to play 18 events. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 12. Maybe the stake he gets can be changed or altered. Maybe the amount of money he's paid to come to the league can be upped. But the die is cast on where the money is coming from, right? I mean, the Saudi money is going to be a part of this. That's not changing. So I think by alluding to that, by saying he does not like that, it is taking his rejection of it a little step further, because that can't be changed.
Rejection of the Premier Golf League and an appreciation for his station in the game and for what the PGA Tour has provided him, the ability to become a superstar, unscripted, honest. Listening to Rory was like listening to him at the dinner table. He was just having a conversation, mincing no words, and being really clear and transparent about his view on the Premier Golf League and, as you said, the money, where it comes from. And I think the older he has gotten, the more comfortable in his skin he's become. We keep kind of hitting on the same themes with Rory. Yeah. On the course, off the course, he knows who he is, and it is so refreshing.
And I think there's twofold is what I took away from it. The loyalty that he has to the PGA Tour. The fact that he can look back and realize the opportunities that he was given because this tour was established by people that came before him. He can appreciate that aspect of it. But the other thing that I found to be, I think, most intriguing or risky, I think, maybe in him speaking out, and is that he is potentially changing earning opportunities for his peers. This Premier Golf League may not happen, and it may not happen because of what Rory McIlroy has said as the #1 player in the world. And he could be taking away the opportunity to play for so many other players. And to me, that was the riskiest aspect of him speaking out.
Are you okay with that?
I am, because I think he's got the moral high ground on this, and I tend to agree with his platform in all of this. But I know why other players haven't spoken out, and I would guess that has a lot to do with it.
But to balance that, though, that's a great point. I hadn't considered. But to balance that, though, in terms of sticking up for the PGA Tour, he's also protecting a lot of playing opportunities. Maybe not for those top 48, 50, but there's certainly a big contingent, a group of players and a healthy caucus of guys who would be
hundreds
dramatically
of-
impacted if he weren't
100%.
standing up for
sure.
it.
And so far, Rory is really one of the only players who's given us a properly considered thought process on the Premier Golf League. We've had a lot of players saying, you know, I'll go if I have to, and I'll go if that's where the best players in the world go to. But Rory has this ability to speak with such truth and such a considered opinion, and he does it on all sorts of the biggest topics in the game, like scheduling and the distance report and course setup. And he seems to be this leading light of a voice on the PGA Tour.
You know what, Anna? He's had practice. Growing up where he did in Northern Ireland and being pulled between two worlds of Catholicism and Protestantism, with the Olympics and him saying, I hate the Olympics, and then warming up to the Olympics and explaining why it was such a conflict for him to have to choose which side. This has been Rory McIlroy's reality. He has had to deal with this for most of his adult life, and the brighter his star has shown, the more he's had to deal with it. I think the more comfortable he's become in dealing with it.
But how important is it to have someone who speaks the truth and is very open, and just speaks from the heart on these really important topics?
I mean, I think it's very important at PGA Tour headquarters. I mean, because Rory is sort of not a man on an island at this point, right? We haven't heard a lot from these proposed, you know, the top of the world rankings proposed players for this league. You know, Tiger kind of punted on it at Riviera.
Everybody's punted on it. I mean, there's been very few that have had a definitive statement about it at all.
Bubba's come out against it, Charlie Hoffman, but no one really. Rory's #1 player in the world, and I wonder, you know, because he's playing so well, he really has a little behind him, right? He's #1 player in the world. He's not struggling. He's not off the radar. He's kind of got a place on the course to be this vocal off the course, and obviously has that experience sort of being sort of the man in the middle and dealing with these kind of complex issues.
Yeah, I think it's not an easy position to take. I think, you know what, with great power comes great responsibility, if I can quote the comic book strip.
Sure.
I mean, this is someone who is dealt with it. I don't think Tiger necessarily, he's taking the more Michael Jordan route, you know, avoid controversy. And that's, you know what, and I'll even say that I think Tiger's improved as he's gotten older. I think in his early to mid-40s, he's better than he was in his 20s. But Rory McIlroy is standing tall and making a statement. And we're going to wait to hear, you know, Brooks says, I'll play where the best players play. You know, we're hearing other players saying, well, I got to explore this more, or my management team is exploring this more. I appreciate his candor and his black and white answer to this question.
And without a doubt, you know, when Rory McIlroy speaks, us as the media and the fans, we listen, Paige. How much do you think the players listen to what Rory McIlroy is saying on these topics?
I think a lot of players will have made up their mind one way or the other, but I think that there are certain players on every tour that become the compass. They become the standard, they become the compass. And I think Rory McIlroy is that for the PGA Tour.
Rory, a true leader indeed. Like what you hear, be sure to weigh in below. Stay tuned to golfchannel.com throughout the day and tune into Morning Drive every day. We'll see you next time, Morning Drive on YouTube.